So in the last video, we had some basic setup going on. Now, one of the things I did is I actually recorded this entire lecture and then um, didn't realize the audio was off. So kind of silly. So there's going to be some things that you might notice that are difference between this video and the last one. So for instance, I think right off the bat, I don't think I named this. I think this was called like delivery or passenger or something. So if you hit Control RR, you can rename a script, or you can right click and go to refactor and go to rename and then rename your script that way. And so I named this, I think it was delivery before, I renamed it taxi pickup. Now, there's some stuff I want to do here, and I'd like to make this object disappear when I select it, and this object being the passenger. So let's kind of run through this really quick. So I know that we can go through, and if I say if other .gameObject.tag is equal to passenger, right? Then we print you hit a passenger. So let's go ahead and press play. We should say you picked up a passenger, but so I'm going to go ahead and boom, it says you hit a passenger. Great. All right. And I'm going to bring this up just a little bit because it's kind of hard to see. Well, let's think about some of the things we know before. We do want, when we pick up a passenger, we'd like to remove that passenger from our scene. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and say, you know what? Whenever we pick up a passenger, we're going to destroy the other dot game object. And then if we put a little delay in there, like a comma, and we do like 0.1f, that way it's not so jarring, like the character just disappears. So let's actually grab this passenger here because I want to show you something else. What this is going to do, so I'm grabbing this the girl passenger here. I'm going to hit W and I'm going to just move her down here. So she is the next passenger we need to pick up. So as I get closer to this character, I can see right off the bat that, boom, I picked him up, and this character did not disappear. But I can pick up both of those passengers. Now, it's possible that there's more than enough room to pick up 2 passengers, but that makes the game boring if the person just hunts for all the passengers and drops them off and wins. So let's go ahead and add a variable up top here, and we're going to do a serialized field here just so we can see it, see the check mark happening as we select our taxi cab. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lock my my taxi cab here, so we're always looking at this script. I'm going to shrink these other ones so we're really just looking at this thing here. So I'm going to make a serialized field here, and I'm going to make a private variable, and it's of type bool. So booleans, if you're not familiar with it, is true or false or 0 or 1. That's all you can store in there. So what it's saying here is if we type in has, and I'm just going to copy passenger here, comma, and I say right off the bat, this is going to equal false because we know that it's not going to, we're not going to have a passenger, right? So by default, even if I delete this, we're setting this to false. So if I look inside of here, we have our taxi pickup script rather, and that's what we're in right now. And it's set to false. So if I check it on, that's true. So what we want to say here is if our other object.gameObject.tag, right, is, well, here, let's do it this way. What we can do is, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and just remove this line of code because we know it works. So I'm going to hit Control L on that to delete that, or you can press the delete key. And I'm going to wrap this if statement in a, well, we have this if statement here. If it's a passenger, then we'll delete him. But let's do this. If the passenger, if it's called passenger, and we currently do not have a passenger. So there's 2 ways to write this, right? We can say if our passengers, our other game object has a tag, which is a passenger, which this guy does. So if I select my passenger here, my beard guy, and let me unlock this for a second. You can see here's beard guy, and he is not tagged. So let's go ahead and make sure to mark him passenger. And then what about pink? Oh, you know what? These are actually, let's see, do we have a thing set up for people? Let's see, here's our pink and our beard guy. Are they over here? Yes, I'm sorry. Let me delete these 2 out, actually. I had them for something else. So here's townspeople, right? So here's our beard guy. He is marked as passenger, and pink girl is marked as passenger. Okay, that was another one of the changes that I made when we were offline. So here's our beard guy. If we have our other game object is passenger, and we are not currently we currently do not have a passenger. So let's change this from has passenger to have passenger. The way that you can write this is you can say if equals equals false. So this is a way of saying if we have somebody who's a tagged passenger and it's as false. A shorthand way of writing this is saying, putting an exclamation point here. And if these two things are met, then we'll destroy the game object, which indicates that we have a passenger. So let's go ahead and press play. And we're going to take a look at this. So I'm driving here, and you could see that this is, it's not allowing me to pick up this guy. It's not allowing me to pick up this guy because we need in some way. So like if we look at this, we select our taxi cab here. This is set to false. Now, what we're doing is we're doing the inverse of whatever this initially is. So let's go ahead and just take this off. And I need to correct something that I said earlier. By leaving nothing in here, I think we're automatically setting this to true. So let's go ahead and press play here. And boom. So you could see now this is automatically set to true, even though this is not checked on. So we're saying if we have another game object and passenger and it's not set and we don't have a passenger, which means this is set to false, we can go ahead and collect them. So let's go ahead and collect that one too. Now remember what I said, I want to pick up one passenger at a time. So what I can do is take this have passenger here and say, okay, this was marked false and we bumped into someone's name passenger. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and set this have passenger equal to true here. And watch what will happen to our taxi cab here. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this. And notice this little toggle here. So I'm going to press play. And we'll go ahead and it'll mark this as true. Boom. See, I picked him up. This is now marked as true. So this no longer works because this is saying that have passenger is equal to false. And then we set it to true here. Now if I go here and I try to pick up this pink girl, nothing happens because this is set to true. I can uncheck it here and then pick her up. But that defeats the purpose. Do you remember before we set up this little area up top here, which is just this box that we want to cross into? And the more I fiddle around with this and I think about the game mechanics, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. And every time we drop off a customer here, what'll happen is we'll code it so that they pop up and they appear along the top here, or they're talking to each other or something. So what I'd like to do is, this is the drop-off location. And remember, this has a trigger on it, right? And so, it looks like it's off. Okay, so let's turn on this trigger here. So this is our trigger. So when I drive in here, what I want to do, and this is tagged as house party. So if you forgot how to create a tag, you just click on add tag here, down at the bottom. And a dialog will pop up allowing you to add a tag. So what we want to do is once we enter this area, which is called house party here, right? We want to set this back to false so we can go back and pick up another passenger. So let's set this to false. So I'm going to save that. Now let's press play and let's kind of just keep your eye out as I go through. So we drive over here and we're like, okay, we're going to pick this guy up to drop him off at the house party. This is set to true. So I'm going to drive. I can't pick her up. So let's go drop him off at the house party. Boom, this is set to false. And like I said, we need to come up with some good affordance for like the people appear here and like the guy pops up here and then we could turn around and then go this way and pick her up, boop, and then head back and drop her off and then she'll appear here. Something else we could do with this house party collider here, which is just a 2D object here, just to kind of, if you missed that step, and we just added a square to our scene, this house party collider, and then we just added a box collider. Now, something else we can do, and it looks like my car was drawing underneath it. So let's see. We have our sprite render here. This is set to 2. What is our car set to? Our taxi cab is also set to 2. So let's set this to 3. And that should allow us to appear on top of that. So I'm just going to pick this guy up and then drive over here. So make sure my cab appears on top. Doesn't appear on top. So let's select this. Maybe if I make this 4. Interesting. And then this cab is also 4. So if I make this 3, what if I make this 5? Yeah. So sometimes the order layers, you can have too many things on the same order layer. So let's set this to 4, and then let's just set our cab all the way on like layer 10. And that way everything will be below the cab. Something else I want to show you is this. So let's go ahead and just uncheck this. And let's select our environment, and let's just take the transparency down a little bit. Now there's another way that we can create collision. And what I want to do, for example, is I'd like the collision inside of here to be a little bit shaped more like what you see here. So what you can do is inside of here, we can create an empty game object. And we're just going to call this object like 01, like pond area. Or I'll say fountain area. Because I have like a little fountain in this drawing here. And then I'm going to press W and I'm going to position this right in the middle. And I'm going to add a polygon 2D, a polygon collider 2D. Now what's cool about this is if I turn this on, I can actually select these and I can actually draw out the shape of my collision. And then when I click on these dots, I can just draw something out like this. Now you want to be careful with this. I mean, if you have a powerful machine, and Unity's pretty good at optimizing stuff. Here, let's kind of just put these all the way up here and then just click. Too many of these polygon colliders can be pretty taxing on the system, depending on the phone or whatever device. But what's cool about this is you see this shape. Now when I press play, and actually I'll leave the environment transparent for a little bit. You could see here when I drive, oops. Why am I still able to get through here? Let's see, polygon collider. Oh, let me turn this off, the editing mode, and that should work now. So let's go ahead and press play. And why is my cab able to drive through? Oh, because my taxi cab for some reason is marked as a trigger and it should not be. All right, so now you can see I cannot drive through there. Picked her up. If I want to grab this guy, that's not working. But what's nice is, you know, and the other thing is, like, for something like this where our turning radius is still kind of clunky, this is a nice area to test. Like, you know, for my cab, I could say, you know what, that cab's turning radius is still kind of really weak at 150, and I want it to be, you know, a little bit stronger. So if I press play now, you can see now I can really turn. There we go. And these guys, how did these guys end up here? This gate. Close that gate, get rid of that gate. This looks pretty good. So I think that's a good way of kind of showing you how to pick up one passenger at a time. We destroy them. And then what I'm going to do is just duplicate these two. And I'm going to position them over here, and we'll set their sort order layer. You know, I'm not really worried about, because I'm probably going to turn off the sprite render on this when I drive in there, but just for now, you could leave it on just to see it. But for this pink blue dress girl, I'm going to flip that, and I'll position her. Let's flip her, position her here. And as we'll make a connection between them, that once you pick her up there and you drop her off, maybe she'll appear. And then here is my beard guy 1. And we'll just position him here. So like they're having a conversation at the house party when you drop them off. Maybe it's like her grandpa or something. All right, let's save this. And then same thing, take these two, make them not visible. And I think that's good for this one.